Hello and welcome to Be in the Spotlight. And today my guest is Wendy Petersen. Wendy, if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, that would be very nice.
Yeah, I'm Wendy and I'm the owner and founder of Type It. I also run another business called Click It, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, I live in Harrow, Northwest London, and I'm married, two kids, Tom and Emma, and they're all grown up and they've fled the nest. And here I am running my businesses and doing lots of sport as well. So yeah.
Well, I look forward to unpacking that and going in a bit more detail. So thank you for sharing us. So I would probably say I'm reading a little bit about you, and I know we've got to talk to each other on a couple of occasions. So I sort of feel like I've got to know you quite well, certainly through the social media side of things. Um, but what I would like to get is I know that as far as typing goes, that was something that was more of a more recent skill set that you've developed. But what I would like to go back is where did you start out? What was your career path and sort of to take us on a journey? Because for me, I think that there's a lot of things that happen in our lives, especially when we get to an age of where we are perhaps maturing. And we have these pivotal moments that happen and change direction. I'd love for us to take our viewers and listeners on that journey, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. It's been a very long journey. I've done lots of different things. I think if you'd have asked me when I was a teenager what I wanted to be when I grew up, it probably wouldn't have been a touch typing tutor. It wasn't quite what I had in mind, but I'm glad I'm here. But yes, it's been very varied. Actually started off doing a degree in food and nutrition,
Wow.
actually, at Bath Uni. First one in our family to go to uni. I absolutely loved it. But for some reason, the food industry and I didn't really get along. I don't know why, it just never happened.
Right.
Uh, it Two things happened to probably change my mind on that as a career. The first one was I went to Sainsbury's head office to apply for a job as a food buyer. What a
Mm,
fantastic career that would have been.
hmm
There were two problems. The first one was it's a very maths based job and
hmm
rubbish at maths, still. Okay. So I went for the interview with the buyer, and he threw a percentage question at me, and I couldn't do it. So that
Oh,
that was not good.
no.
And the second one was he was the head of the meat department. He was the head of the meat buyer, and I was vegetarian at the
Oh,
time.
gosh. It could be a bit of a challenge there.
And I was quite a sort of feisty vegetarian, like animal rights and everything, and
Mm,
that didn't go down too well. So that didn't work. The second one was when I went for my work placement at Neff. Don't know if you've
mhm.
heard of Neff.
I
They're
feel
like
like I should. Uh, yeah,
ovens
yeah,
and microwaves, quite a big German
yeah.
appliance manufacturer. And I went there for 3 weeks for work experience as part of my degree. And I got on really well with the head of product development there. She was from New York,
Mm,
American. And rather than doing the job I was meant to do, which was just working in the department with all the other sort of home economists there, she took me under her wing and she asked me to create some muffin recipes.
okay.
Muffins hadn't come to the UK at this point. They back in the 80s, they weren't there. So I said, yeah, why not? I'll go in the kit test kitchens and create some recipes, which I did.
Yeah.
Everyone loved them. She then invited me to her house to meet her husband. We had dinner, and they said, we want to ask you something. We'd like to go into business with you. We'd like you to set up our muffin business in the
Wow.
UK.
Wow.
We've got a contact who owns all of the sandwich bars in London. We're ready to roll, but there's one thing, you need to run it. We're silent partners. At the age of 21, I couldn't do it.
Oh, wow. No.
I couldn't bring myself to do it. And I said no. And you sort of look back on things. I don't regret it, but it's one of those moments that what would have happened if I'd have done it? Because literally 2 years later, muffins were everywhere.
Everywhere. God.
Yeah. So
God.
realized probably the food industry wasn't going my way. So as a grad, I needed a job.
Yeah.
I went to work in a local. It was a kitchen and bathroom product manufacturers, doing product development for them. And I met my husband.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, if you had a relationship with your manager, you had to leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was asked to leave and I left. I'm very different now. Um, but so again, desperate for work,
Mhm,
I took a maternity covered job for somebody who's going on maternity at Wix Building Supplies.
mhm,
And I don't know if you ever remember the Wix booklet, the little
mhm.
night
Yeah, 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 yeah,
to come to the door.
yeah.
My job was to help manufacture that booklet.
Wow.
But it was all outsourced. All the design was outsourced. And then
Mm,
when I was there, they wanted to bring it in-house. So they
mm.
asked me to set up a desktop publishing
Oh,
department,
wow.
right? With no experience at all, other than the fact I love computers.
Yeah,
Absolutely love them. I was the only one in my year at uni that did their dissertation on a computer.
yeah,
No one else had a computer. I had the old Amstrad,
yeah, yeah.
the black and white type. So I was like, yeah. So at Wix, I was like, yes, love to do that. So I went on a course, Quark Publishing Illustrator course,
Yeah, yeah.
and we did it all in house. So that was my job for 5 years,
Oh,
producing a
wow.
booklet, 5 million copies 6 times a year. It
Gosh,
was a
gosh.
big job.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine.
then there was a turning point. It was really when my son was born, and we shared a nanny. I had a friend, and we shared a nanny, and she brought him up to work, and I went down to reception to see him. He was 1 year old,
Hmm.
and I had to say goodbye.
Oh,
And it really pulled on my heart. I just couldn't do it
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
It just didn't feel right.
No.
So I decided to leave
Yeah.
and spend time with him. And I
Hmm.
went freelance. So I set up
Yeah.
my own graphic design company, and
Wow.
I had some good clients. Mother Care was one of them. So it was a really good client.
Wow.
Um, and then baby number two came along. So Emma came along. And that's when I had my little light bulb moment, which was really uh, the next step on for me. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's what came next, and how Click It came into being, and then Type It followed on from that point. Yeah.
Wow. So for those of us that aren't familiar with Click It or Type It, and I think this is that there are so many parts of your story that are so like mirror my own path. The working with the person that you end up marrying,
Oh, really?
yeah. And the producing of material and marketing and stuff, but
Yeah.
mine was in sales and estate agency and recruitment and
Oh,
stuff. Then desktop publishing was in the health service and doing the junior doctors handbooks and things like that. So very, very similar, very,
yeah.
very similar. I think the only difference between the two is that I learnt to type at college, so I was already using it. My first job in a state agency was there's a computer, we don't know how it works, there's the manuals, you figure it out yourself. And that was my introduction
Yeah.
to computers. I hated typing at school, um, but but when I first started working, going onto the computer it was like completely different. And I think at the time I did everything I could to get away from being a secretary, and that's where I did the desktop publishing and stuff like that. And I loved what I was doing. And then I got it came to a point where I went career change and opened up the doors. So
Yeah.
let's talk a bit about Click It first of all, because I think that is another pivotal moment where as you said, your light bulb moment comes. So, can you share with us what that was and what it actually involved you doing? Because I know, again, similar career stories going here, but if you'd like to share with our audience and listeners what that is, and it's still going even now, you've said.
Yeah. 25 years this year, still
Wow,
going.
wow.
So it was really doing the graphic design at home when you're sort of working on your own at home, working with clients. The tech world was moving on so quickly.
Mm,
I was feeling a little bit left out, bit behind. And it would have meant probably going back to work in an agency or upskilling.
mm-hmm,
And I just didn't want to do that full time.
mm,
So just by sheer chance, I brought down an old Apple Mac computer from the
mm,
loft.
mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Apple Macs that were brightly coloured?
Ye-
Blueberry, indigo, orange,
Yeah. Oh,
little
wow.
mandarin or something. They were all in one computers.
Yeah, yeah,
Put a plug in the back and you
yeah,
would go.
yeah.
And I had one of those in the loft. In fact, I still have them because they're like they're going to be worth something, I'm
Oh,
sure.
definitely,
Oh,
definitely, definitely.
so I brought that down and plugged in the laptop, plugged in the keyboard and a mouse, and Emma was 18 months old at the time. And I loaded up some free software that was on there, some really lovely toddler software. And straight away, she had fantastic hand-eye coordination, so she could move the mouse and make and pop balloons.
Mm,
We were talking about colors, we were counting, we were sorting, we were talking about everything educational, yet she was in control,
mm,
mouse, doing it herself, loving it, laughing, having a
mm,
great time. And I just thought, ooh, hang on a minute, I've got an idea,
mm.
literally. So I knew, being because Emma was 18 months, that in the nursery curriculum, in the EYFS, they were bringing in compute ICT skills as
Yeah,
part of the curriculum.
yeah,
It wasn't mandatory, it was
no.
like an optional thing.
Mm,
And I knew that nurseries were pretty well struggling with this. So
mm,
I contacted my friend who was a nursery nurse and I said to her, what are nurseries doing for ICT? And she went, nothing. They're
mm.
really struggling. I said, I've got an idea. What do you think about this? We run computer clubs in nursery schools. We take in all of the kit. We set up our own educational program, sourcing all the best software there is out there, create a curriculum, and we take children in small groups for 20 minutes max. It
Mm,
goes, brilliant idea. Let's do it. So together we set up Click It and we
mm.
trialed it. It did really, really well. And it took off massively. So we took on a team. We had nearly 20 staff,
Wow.
80 tutors going into nurseries. Again, it was a difficult time because parents didn't want their children anywhere near computers.
Mm, mm,
It was like, no, absolutely no way. It's got to be pen and paper. Don't want any of that screen time
mm,
and thing, albeit it was all very educational. So we still did really well. We
mm.
did really well. We used to take the big Apple Macs into nursery
Oh, wow.
on a trolley and wheeled them in to the nurseries before laptops really came around.
Yeah.
And my husband got made redundant.
Oh,
He came to work with us
mm.
and we franchised it. So he became the franchise director.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So rather than him being the boss, I was now the boss. It was great. Full circle moment.
Oh, blimey, blimey. But it's also good that you're able to build the business and do stuff together as well, which is
Really, it
so,
was
yeah,
lovely. And
yeah,
it gave him confidence and it gave us the opportunity to grow the business together.
mm, yeah.
So yeah, so we franchised it. So classes are running all over the country as far as Manchester.
Wow, that is really
Um,
impressive.
and we asked, unfortunately, COVID put pay to the franchisees.
Oh,
Yeah, they pulled out in the end because their
oh,
nurseries closed. We kept
yeah,
going with a sort of skeleton staff.
yeah.
And yeah, we're still teaching around 500 children a week.
Wow, God, that's impressive, isn't it? So has it moved to an online
No,
form? No, it's still going into
still
the
going
nurseries too.
in. Yeah,
Wow, yeah, that is
trolley bag
really
this time rather than a wheelie trolley thing. Yeah, so no, it's still going well, and nurseries love it, parents love it, the children love it.
yeah, and it's such a great age to be getting them as well. Yeah, I mean, I love working with that age group. I really did. It wasn't a planned venture in there because I'd always been adult education, and then unfortunately I got made redundant, and I ended up sort of trying to find a work, and my son had just started school. So yes, there was the token computer in the nursery when he was sort of going there, but not really had much doing to it. But it's funny, same sort of thing as you when you were talking about your daughter. When my son was born, I was in the middle of doing my degree, and so I can remember my maternity leave. Was when I had to do my thesis, and him coming in one of those baby things, sitting in this thing
Oh,
while I was working
yeah.
at the computer. And then it was sort of like, he was able to identify the different parts of the computer before he could talk, because I would just say, "Where's the monitor?" And he would point to the
Yeah,
monitor.
that's
"Where's
it.
the keyboard?" And he was so he was getting quite
Yeah,
familiar with the tech backgrounds, even in those days. And to be fair, while he was going through school and everything, at one stage we thought that might have been the career he was going to go to, although he was going in the sort of the computer game design and stuff like that. But yes, so when he started school, reception year, and it was in year one. Um, as I said, I was out of work. I was doing some sessional work teaching, but I was still looking for a paid job in those days. I was still looking what I call for the 9 to 5 work, and his class teacher said, "Oh, Mrs. Honey, would you mind teaching the kids some doing ICT with the kids?" And I'm thinking, anyway, after sort of, I think it was a term of no, if we resigned to the fact that maybe that might be an idea while I was looking to get some other experience, because I think, my sort of one term of not having any any work trying to find it. Well, let's get the experience. So I started teaching my son's class ICT when he was in year one. And at the time, they were having a program. I forget the name of the program now, which is really a shame. But it was basically used from year one through to year six. But they also had in school at the time an IT technician who used to teach them for IT. And I'd actually been to observe her working when I was doing my teaching practice as a backup. So I knew the school well, and so she only did year two to year six, so they hadn't got anyone to teach reception at year one. So I started off with year one, doing the program and putting the stuff together for them, and they were in group. I think I had 6 groups of 10. So
It's a
big
lot.
group, big group. And I think I did that for a year. And then the following that they was like, would you consider doing reception as well? So I was basically doing a whole day voluntary work,
Yeah,
teaching first of all year one, then I was going into reception. So what I did with the reception classes, we did the kids that were starting in the September. From September to Christmas, they had their 10 weeks of IT. Then in the January, we had the spring term, so all of those, and then the summer term was those ones, and that's how I did it. But they didn't even have a program for them, so I literally created the program of skills. But it was even in those days, you could see that the computers weren't at home, and they'd been using phones and the tablets, so being able to hold the mouse properly was they were really struggled with. So I've sort of really focused on getting the mouse and keyboard skills and colouring in. But like you were saying, clicking on pictures and filling in and
still do
paint.
that now. We still do that with the mouse.
Yeah,
No, they're not always using a mouse. It's still
no.
a good skill to have.
Exactly. So I think in total, I was doing the work there for about 5 years. But what ended up happening was that because they couldn't take me on as a paid employee to teach the kids, they looked at the staff training and what they needed with the staff training. So I ended up creating a program. It's partly where the IT for You program comes from, was I created a bespoke program that was teaching the teachers what I was teaching the kids.
Mm,
Then it was giving them the skills that they needed to help them with their classroom
yeah.
skills. And then it was preparing them the admin side, like, SATs analysis and stuff like
Mm,
that. So I then created this program for them, and then what they ended up doing is marketing it to the other schools in the cluster, primary schools within
yeah.
the school cluster. So it grew from one school to, about 5 or 6 schools in there. And I ran it for about 3 or 4 years in total. And it only really came to the end because they had a change of head, and the new head wasn't perhaps so visionary of what was
Yeah.
going on, and it sort of ended, which was a shame. But yeah, so in total I was did the work with them for about five years. So, and then I ended up getting a job in curriculum management, and then I didn't have the time again, so it sort of
Oh,
all stopped. But
uh,
but yeah, so I loved working with the younger kids. It was really, it's
great fun.
yeah.
Oh,
I,
they're
and
so
then
funny.
I did work as in a secondary school as well for a period of time before I got the curriculum manager's role, and that was again very much focusing on skills, supporting learners with additional needs in the SEN and stuff like that. So it was quite interesting. It was more challenging, but it was quite interesting. But yeah, my love and my passion really is with the adults. So,
Yeah.
but so
Yeah, so going back to the Click It, so literally, when was it? About 14 years ago, I set up Type It, and
mm,
that came off the back of Click It because as the children were growing up, we'd get calls from the parents saying, "Do you do touch typing lessons?"
yeah,
Or people had Googled us from around the country and just thought we're an IT provider for children, and
yeah,
I'm asking the question, "Do you offer touch typing lessons?" And I
mm,
just it's like I can't keep ignoring this. I can't
mm,
keep saying no.
no,
I've got to do something here. And I think it was on the back of sort of David being made redundant, salaries were down, a desire, a drive to support the family, I
mm,
guess.
mm,
This need to set up another business, to find another income stream, because Click It had got to the point it wasn't going to keep on growing
mm.
so much, so not quick enough. And Type It was my way of getting another business on board and bringing in another income stream. But there was one problem: I couldn't touch type.
That would be a problem. That would be a problem.
But I had the vision. So what I did was I took myself off to a college course, which was actually being held in a library. And um, yeah, the lady running it was a very basic course, but it gave me a chance to get started. But it also, what it made me realize was, oh wow, this is not a great course.
Mm,
This is not how you teach people to touch type.
mm,
I know through my work with Click It and the children and how to deliver to children,
yeah,
I know I can create something so much better.
yeah.
And that was really so apart from I taught myself literally in a day, okay,
Wow,
how to touch type, whereas it normally takes at least 20 hours
wow.
across a time. I was so excited to do this and so passionate about it, um, that I developed the program quite quickly, and yeah, I tested it out at it was a Harrow Art Centre. We hired a room,
Yeah,
advertised it in the local school. So initially, all the Type It lessons were face to face
mm,
in that centre.
yeah.
Moved to a school, and then I set up my office, which was at the end of my road.
Oh, wow.
So that was the little Wendy house at the end of the road, where people would come in for lessons. Um, so that was Type It going for up until COVID. And actually, in February 2020, just before COVID, I said to my husband, I need to go away and work on a project. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I want to take Type It online. I need to reach more people. It's really frustrating me that I'm getting all these calls and I can't help them because I'm here and they're there.
Yeah,
So I'm going to try and set up an online platform and convert it all online and try and get that running. But I can't do it here. I need to go away somewhere
yeah.
and focus. I don't want the phones ringing. I don't want anyone at home bothering me." So I went to Portugal on my own for a week and just got my head down and created this course. Got home in February, middle of Feb. It was just after Valentine's. What was it? Three or 4 weeks later, COVID hit.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I hadn't have spent that week away creating this online course,
It wouldn't have
Type
happened.
It would
Yeah,
have would have just died a death.
yeah.
And so within about 3 days, I converted all of my 30 children that were coming to the centre to online
Wow.
learning. And the parents were going, "How have you done that?"
Yeah,
And I said, "Well, just sheer luck."
yeah,
Just sheer luck, but
yeah,
and timing.
yeah. I mean, that is just amazing, isn't it? It's like you must have had a premonition or something.
Really, really strange. Really
Wendy, don't tell me it was you that was behind COVID all this time.
oh, took it out.
We've caught you out. you thought I've created this fantastic thing. Now I need to be
Now I need
demonstrating
it.
it.
And of course it went mad, didn't it? Because everyone was at home and Type It
Mm,
got lots of interest,
I
and
can
yeah,
imagine.
numbers went through the roof, and
Yeah.
the online really took off, and we haven't looked back from then.
No.
So the
No.
online, the last 14 years, that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Is I've given up the centre.
Mm-mm. So
I work from home. This is my home office.
yeah.
I do have students come here,
Mm,
local ones that want to
mm,
come for us
mm.
face to face, but generally it's all on Zoom or remote independent practice with feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any sort of dealings with the click it at all now, or is it your focus completely in the type it, as it
I
were?
realised that I couldn't run two businesses well. I
Mm,
tried
mm.
for a while, and I couldn't get Type It to expand to the extent I wanted it. I couldn't give it my all.
No.
Click It's running really nicely as it is, and
Yeah.
David manages Click It for me along with two other wonderful members of my team,
Yeah.
Ellie and Sharon. They're fantastic. So the three of them manage it and do a
Yeah.
great job. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's with
Oh.
they go for their staff meeting without me now.
But
Yeah,
it must have been a real turning point to sort of see something that you've been so passionate build up and then launch something else, build that up, and then to suddenly think, right, I'm going to do this now with it, and to do it and to make it so successful, which is what's going on, and so many people are struggling to do something online and trying to create something and failing, to be fair, and
yeah,
you're literally growing and growing, and it's getting more popular by the hour, so to speak, with what you're offering. So
yeah,
I think that is just showing us how resilient you are and how much you've been invested in yourself and what you can do. Um, at any time during that stage, did you feel like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? The confidence, did you sort of doubt yourself, or have you been really?
I think, yeah, always second guessing, not sure about whether I'm doing the right thing. Also, there was this real drive, there was a real deep-seated drive to make it work.
Mm,
And I've always been a believer in doing something within your capabilities. If it doesn't feel right, then don't do it, if that
mm.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, it
I
does.
I go by gut instinct. If
Mm,
something is meant to be, it's meant to be.
mm,
Um, and I don't take risks. I'm not a risk taker. So I've never borrowed heavily or anything like that.
mm,
The
mm,
business has always grown organically,
mm,
both businesses. So they've always expanded. The money's been invested, it's expanded, and so
mm,
forth. It's never, apart from when we franchised, we did
mm,
have to invest,
mm,
but that was fine. Um, so yeah, confidence, yeah, of course, is always an issue, especially if it's your main source of income,
mm,
because there's that added pressure that
mm,
you've got to make this work. Because if
mm.
we don't make this work, we can't pay bills.
No, no. What would you say has been the most challenging obstacle or hurdle that you've had to sort of deal with, face, and that you thought, oh God, I don't know if this is going to work, and then you've come out and triumphant over it.
I guess it was COVID, because everything was so set up so beautifully at the center. I knew I
Mm,
wanted to go online with the product, but I didn't realize I'd have to do it quite so desperately and
mm,
so
mm,
quickly.
mm,
Was it good enough? But also, I was also running Click It at the same time. So,
mm,
um, what we had to do then was keep all our nurseries happy, even though we weren't in nursery. Keep the nurseries happy, keep the parents happy,
mm,
their children, keep in with those nurseries. So what I did alongside Type It, with the online, was set up a Click It online program.
oh wow,
And
gosh,
I was literally working 24/7.
I can imagine, I can
And we actually
imagine.
called it Click It Zoom before everyone even knew about Zoom. So
Mm,
we still have it. It's fantastic. It's a collation of lots of different online
mm,
software, like a library. So it's all based around the EYFS. So it's all in sections. You
Yeah.
in and the children can select what activities. And we wrote a lesson plan so that parents could do that at home. That was
Yeah.
all free. We didn't charge for that.
Wow.
I wanted to do something where I felt I was giving them
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
and keeping everyone happy. So
Mm.
that was really tough. That
Yeah.
was, I thought, I don't know if I can do this. Um, yeah, but manage somehow
So,
to to get through. And also, with Type It, it's you get troughs and you get highs and lows in any business. Sometimes it goes very quiet.
mm,
Business goes a little quiet,
mm,
and your instinct as a business owner, you do get a bit panicky, even though I've
mm.
been doing it a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do want, I do get affected by how well the business is doing. When it's doing well, I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I feel the business isn't doing well,
Yeah.
then I'm not happy. And my
No.
husband will say to me, it's that time of year, it is. And I know
Mm.
it is because I've got the stats to prove it. But there's that little doubt in your mind.
Yeah. So then
And
you
he'll
have to obviously go and have a little pep talk with yourself
have a
and
little
sort of
pep talk and say, enjoy the downtime because it's going to go crazy in a few weeks, which it will. It's like now,
yeah.
it's fairly quiet because it's exam time. So
Yeah.
no one's really heavily doing touch typing. The children are busy
Yeah.
doing all their exams
Yeah.
and all the rest of it. Um, and come summer, it will be all working all flat out through the
Yeah.
summer. So
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And this was going to say. So we've talked quite a lot about Click It, and we've talked a lot about Type It, and we've obviously talked about the early years, which is obviously primarily what you've been focused on. That was no pun intended. Early years, primary, early years with the nurseries.
yeah,
But I know that that isn't necessarily the main target area that where you work with now. So for people that are listening and watching, they're probably thinking we're talking a lot about schools and younger children, but we're adults. So just to sort of bring us forward a little bit, because I know that you work with different ages now. So obviously you've just said about the exams. So I'm guessing now you're moving more into an older age learner rather than a younger. So what would you say was the biggest age group that you're working with now?
yeah.
First of all,
I'd probably say between 11 and 15, I would say.
11 to 15, which
Yeah.
is a good time, because the other thing I found was when they were quite little, trying to get their fingers on the keyboards, it was quite challenging, and the mouse was they did find it. But I know that you work with adults as well. So
Mm.
when did you bring in oh my goodness, I think adults might benefit from this skill as well. So when did that light bulb moment hit you?
It was always on my very first website because of course I learned at the age of 42. So I thought if I can do it,
Yeah,
and it changed my life because
yeah.
it means I can be more efficient with my time and
Mm,
it's effortless and I
mm,
can see the benefits
mm,
and it's fairly all right. I'm nearly 60,
mm.
but it seems like it was yesterday that I learned. And I know the benefits. I want to
Yeah,
pass that on to others.
yeah.
It's just that, to be fair, the age group that I'm working with, the younger ones, tend to come to me more. So it's you tend to focus
Mm,
on where the
mm.
business is coming
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
But there's a whole market out there for
Oh,
adults,
yeah, definitely.
and I love working with adults. And I've got at least 6 to 10, I think I've got at the moment, few coming in that
Mm,
I personally work with every week.
mm,
And they're brilliant because they're probably coming a little bit more nervous than the
mm,
children
mm,
because they've got that fear of failure a little bit,
mm, mm.
and so it's you are building up their confidence
Yeah,
to say
definitely.
you can definitely give this a go and you'll
Yeah,
be fine. I'll help you. I'm here to help you. I've done it. I
yeah,
know I know what you're going through,
mm,
and I know how brilliant it is and how
yeah,
it's going to really help you.
yeah. And you're so right there. I think the only difference I would say about you and me on that one was I learned at college, and it was a choice between travel and tourism or keyboard and typing. Everybody wanted to do travel and tourism. Nobody wanted to do keyboard and typing. So I was in the group for the keyboarding and typing. But what my mum learned to type as well when she was at school or college. He said, "Sue, I know you want to do travel and tourism, but you'll thank me for later doing keyboard and typing."
Yeah.
Well, I didn't thank her at the time because I hated every minute of it. But it's the skills that I've used every single
Yeah.
day out of everything, and I've continually built on and used it. As I said, going into the desktop publishing, using the computers, I use it every day. And when I'm in the classroom and they'll say, how long did it take you to get as quick at typing? And I'm thinking, I've no idea because I've been doing it for so long now. But but what I'm finding as well is that the adults that I'm working with, that they I like to use your term here, picking at the keyboards, trying to pick it out and stuff like that. And you can hear some of the colourful language when they, press the enter return key instead of the backspace key, even though you've gone
Yeah.
over with it several times we
Yeah.
get the keys sort of still muddled up. But they are asking me, how long will it take us to learn? Can we do it? And it really shocked me when you sort of realize that there's nowhere offering classes to learn to type and things like that now. And more so than ever with it being an age where we're using technology. You
Yeah.
would have thought that that was one skill that they would have kept going rather than letting it, I won't say die, but there's very, very few places I think where you can go to
There aren't many. There are a lot online, but of course the problem with online is it's all you're feeling all really gun ho at the beginning and really confident, and you get going, you're enthusiastic. But 2, 3 weeks in, when it starts getting difficult, and
mm,
I know from my own students that I work with, it's so easy to get things wrong in the
mm,
sense that they're using the wrong fingers,
mm,
or they're making it more difficult, or they've not followed instructions.
mm,
Um, and the enthusiasm wears off very
mm,
quickly.
yeah,
Whereas if you're in a class or you're on Zoom or you're being supported offline,
mm,
um, you're more than likely to keep going. And you've
mm,
got to get over the hurdles because there's some bumps in the
mm,
road when you're learning to touch type.
mm,
There's known tricky keys to
mm,
watch out for. And if you're on
mm,
your own doing that, you'd probably just give up.
yeah,
So
yeah,
do.
yeah. I mean,
No.
I can remember when as I say, my son was little, looking at some of the programs, like on the BBC, CBBC, there was various programs.
Yeah.
And also when I was in the secondary school working with kids, the programs, but they just seemed so, I won't say
Boring.
so boring, but they weren't great. I thought, oh God, I couldn't want to be learning via
No.
this method, and very I won't patronizing maybe is the wrong word, but they didn't
Yeah.
seem age appropriate at all,
No, they're
and
not.
and certainly not from the adult. I mean, I haven't studied in great detail the ones for the adults now, but I know there are some things that are free. But it's
Yeah.
like anything, if you're trying to teach yourself how to do it, you aren't going to learn not to do it properly.
No.
um and I don't know about you with your typing instructor, but ours was a real battle axe.
No, I was all right. I was okay.
So I think we all hated typing and keyboarding in my year. But what I will say was that there was just as many guys learning to type on the course
Yeah.
as there were girls. So it wasn't um all girls in the class. It was literally a 50-50 split. And interestingly enough, my brother, when he was at school, he was that they learned to type when he was at school as well. So it's definitely, at the time, people were thinking ahead of, this is something that people needed to learn to do. It's just a shame that it didn't keep on the curriculum as it could have done. But then maybe we didn't have the Wendy's out there to be teaching teaching us.
I just think it's the word touch typing, the phrase touch typing just has a bit of a bad on
Mm,
you know bad connotation. It's got a bad, it's not very up to date,
No.
So
Yeah.
people look back and think it was just for secretaries, or it
Yeah.
is just for secretaries,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
women, or oh, if you do so much typing, you need it. Yeah, I don't need it because I only do emails, which of course is not true because any kind of keyboarding,
Is
you need the skill.
yeah.
It's a useful skill
Yeah,
to have.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it was seen as old-fashioned,
Mm, mm,
and I think maybe it needs a rebrand. I don't
yeah.
know.
No. What would
Um,
you call it, Wendy?
oh yeah, it's not really touch typing. It's fast keyboarding or efficient keyboarding.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I've often wondered what to rename it, but
mm.
it's not easy to get it all across what the
No.
bits are
No.
in one. What does touch typing mean? So many people you say, oh, I'm a touch typist. Oh yeah, I'm a touch typist. Or
Yeah.
do you type without looking? Oh no. Well then
No.
you're a touch typist.
No, exactly. And also, I can really get fast when, two fingers, I'm quite speedy. I can go quite a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not touch
that's
typing.
not touch typing, and that's not giving you the benefit of touch typing.
No, no, no.
People don't understand what the benefits are
No, no,
of touch typing.
and I think as well, it's not just the benefits, it's the value. What's the value in the investment of
Oh
learning to
yeah.
touch type? Well, if you actually think about how much time you could save financially with doing these things, and then don't get me started on the VA route, but if you're spending that money out to pay a VA to do the stuff, you could probably invest that stuff in doing it yourself and get it done, a lot quicker and with the skills and stuff like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing VA work, by the way, because I did that myself as well. So I'm not, I'm just one of these people who like to do things myself and figure things out myself. So no offense, anybody watching. Um, but yeah, it's the values as well, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
what value it is as
It
well
is.
as the benefits. So
If you're spending 6 hours a week typing, which a
mm,
lot of people are,
mm,
if you're a touch typist, you could
mm.
save 3 hours a week.
Wow, 3 hours a week. Did you hear
Massive.
that? 3 hours a week. Wow,
What could
really?
you do in those three
Yeah.
hours that
Oh,
you're not able to use because you're hunting and pecking?
yeah.
It's
And
mad.
that Wendy, I think 3 hours a week saving. My God. Well, that is a pitch if I've never heard one. Watch out for that one on the social medias. That is a return on investment if you've ever heard one. So obviously we know that is built up a lot of your confidence. You've given so many people that you're working with confidence as well. And one of the things that I know that you feel quite passionate about, it's certainly something I feel very passionate about, is people with additional needs, the people that are perhaps neurodiverse and struggle. And I think you shared a little bit on your social media platforms that you do a lot of work with people that are neurodiverse. I'm not sure if it goes from the school and the adults, but I definitely know you work with the children on that. How have you had to adapt your teaching and delivery to work with the kids that are neurodiverse?
It's really just, first of all, just getting to know them and making them feel safe and secure
Mm,
because they often come to me, their confidence is at rock bottom.
mm,
They are struggling in
mm,
school.
mm,
They feel that they can't keep up with their peers.
mm,
That everything they do is wrong. They're losing marks at school. They're being kept in at break time. This is a recent one. He's
mm.
kept in at break time to catch up on work. He's missing out on fun with his friends.
Yeah,
That's not nice.
no,
So
no.
they come to me, and learning to touch type is just another thing on their list. They've probably
Mm,
got X number of other tutors that they're needing help with.
mm,
So they tend to come a little bit downhearted, and my job is to pick the back up again
mm,
and to give them the confidence. It's not just about teaching them to touch type, it's giving them confidence
mm,
in themselves that they can do something really well. So
mm,
we focus on small wins,
mm.
um, that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah,
We just learn from those mistakes.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
adapting the teaching style for them. So where most people could do a 45-minute lesson like this face to face.
Mm.
I have a child who does 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's as much as they can cope with.
Yeah.
So if a child is faced with a paragraph of text and
Mm.
immediately goes, can't do it, I
Mm.
know they can, but they see it and they freeze and they
Mm.
just, I can't do it. That's fine.
Mm.
We break it down into words, single words.
Mm.
We build the words up into sentences.
Yeah.
We'll build the sentences up into paragraphs.
Yeah.
So they've got their confidence. So it's like little steps. So it's
Yeah.
not like a normal typing program where what you see is what you get and you have to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you go nowhere.
Yeah.
I can modify anything. I can
Yeah.
create it,
Yeah.
and I often do. So every student's doing something different,
Mm.
and then we build up the skills slowly.
Mm.
Lots of different lesson plans for lots of different children
Wow.
until you start to see that smile creeping in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that they're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
They're doing well,
I think that smile says it all, doesn't it? You know, when somebody's done something for the first time or something when they've struggled with it and then they finally get it, you know, it's worth all the sweat, stress and tears of
Exactly.
going through it all, isn't it? Definitely. Definitely. Um, so I think what I'd probably say, and that was a really pivot thing that you said there. Is there anybody, obviously not mention any names, but is there any one learner, whether a school or adult, that has had one of those real breakthrough moments that you feel, oh wow, you know, you
Yeah,
feel really proud?
yeah, all the time. I have them all the time, and it's what makes me do what I do because I
Mm,
love that, and you
mm,
feel amazing for
mm.
them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a boy recently, 17 years old. So he's sitting his A levels at the moment.
Mm,
He came to me about 6 months ago. Typical teenager. Oh, do I really have to do this? I don't see the point. I think my handwriting's okay.
mm.
And I said, well, let's have a look at your handwriting. And I couldn't read it.
No, no.
So I said to him, well, how is this a problem? How does your handwriting hold you back? He goes, I'm losing marks.
Mm,
The examiners can't read my handwriting.
mm,
So I said, you need to learn to touch type then. He goes, I do. But
mm.
you could tell he didn't want to do it.
No, no.
Another thing to add,
To the
there's also ADHD.
yeah, yeah.
So focus was difficult, practice was difficult. He couldn't remember when to practice. He couldn't remember what I'd set him for practice.
No.
His mum was very supportive. So in the background, his mum and I were doing a lot of planning and plotting behind
Mm,
his back.
mm.
He didn't know that his mum was talking to me, and I didn't tell him I was talking to his mum
Mm,
because she said, Wendy, he will listen to you. He
mm.
won't listen to me.
No,
So
no.
I
So,
became his mum pretty much over
oh,
6 months,
oh, bless.
which was really sweet. And we got along really well. And he did listen to me, and
Mm,
he wanted to do well for himself, but also to please me in a funny kind of way.
yeah,
Built up
yeah.
such a good relationship. And his mum is delighted. So this week he's touch typing in his exams.
Excellent.
He's got up to 60 words per minute
Wow,
with
that is amazing.
96% accuracy.
Wow, that is impressive.
And he's flying now.
Oh, wow. Wow. I have
Yeah.
to get you to test me one day. I dread
Yeah.
to dread to see what it's like now.
Yeah. So no, I'm really happy for him.
Oh,
So happy for him.
that
And
is
he's
that
done it. Yes,
that is amazing. And that is a real good result, really. I mean, if you think about that, that is amazing. And the fact, A, his age, and the fact that he's a neurodiverse ADHD,
yeah.
yeah, that is pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive.
Mm.
Um, I want to change direction a little bit now. Sorry, ADHD brain coming in here. But I know that obviously we've talked a lot about click it, type it, and the typing side of things, and I give the passions coming through. It's coming through so much, but I know that's not just what you do. And I think if anybody else talking and watching and listening knows what else you do outside of that, I think they're going to sort of have a jaw-dropping moment. So I want to take us a little bit of into a different direction now and it's in the health and well-being and side of things. And I don't know if you guys have watching, you'll know that health and well-being is another side of me that I'm very passionate about. So this is why we get on. So you're a bit of an athlete, aren't you? But not just an ordinary athlete. Would you like to share with us what you do when you aren't when you aren't doing your typing skills?
Yeah, I'm doing triathlon, so I'm a triathlete.
Triathlete, not an
Yes,
athlete,
a
triathlete.
triathlete. Yeah, so
Wi-
that's a swim, bike, and run.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'd
so you're
struggle to
training
do one of
three.
those. So, what got you into doing
It's funny.
the three?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit like I'm quite competitive, quite a
Yeah.
competitive person. I think that shows in my businesses in the sense that I want them to do really well,
Mm,
and I've built them up to do really well, and I want my students to do really well. So
mm,
I'm like their biggest advocate, really,
mm,
biggest fan. Um, and I like to set myself challenges
mm,
because I don't know why. I just have this desire to try new things.
mm,
And it's definitely come with age.
mm,
Probably wouldn't have had the confidence when I was younger.
mm,
Um, I went through a lot of anxiety when I went through the menopause,
mm.
and I was a tennis player.
Were you?
Yeah. So I played tennis at club level,
Mm,
and I tried to win the ladies singles championship at that, well, for many
mm,
years. I'd get to
mm.
the final and I'd lose.
Oh,
And I got to the final again, and I was playing against a 25-year-old girl, and I won.
oh,
I
wow,
beat her.
wow.
And this was about 6 years ago.
Mm.
And I said, "That's it, I've done it. I'm going to hang up my tennis racket." And I never played again.
Oh, wow. After you got to that level, okay. Yeah, I've been there now. Go on, do
In there.
that's it. Job done.
It was literally, I need a new challenge.
Yeah,
I've got where I want to get.
yeah.
And I think also with my anxiety, it was causing me anxiety on the court.
Mm,
So it was getting me to the point where I was anxious during a
mm,
match.
mm,
I'd freeze.
mm,
It's meant to be my social life, and it
mm.
was becoming a problem.
Yeah.
So I knew I needed to change direction. So I hung up my tennis racket. I
Mm,
moved away,
mm.
and I thought, how about doing triathlon? I can run a bit. I couldn't swim, and I wasn't really good on a bike.
You couldn't swim.
I could swim, but I couldn't swim properly.
Oh, wow. Oh, my
So
gosh.
it was a real challenge. So over the last 5 years, I've learned to swim from scratch
God.
because I was holding my breath underwater all my life, and you're not
Yeah,
meant to. You've got to
yeah,
breathe out. So I had to
yeah,
learn to breathe again without having
yeah,
a panic attack.
yeah,
I had to learn to bilateral breathe both sides. I had to learn to swim in a dark lake with dark water and not have a panic attack, which I did the first time.
yeah.
I've had to learn to cycle on busy roads and go long distances.
Mm.
And the running was the easier part for me because I'd always run. I'd
Right.
always done like half marathon, 10Ks, half marathons.
Wow.
And I love it because I'm always learning. I'm
God,
still learning and
gosh.
competing now. So
So
yeah.
that I mean, just it blew me away when I was reading that. So have your business and your sporting career had an impact on each other? I mean, have the
Yeah,
sports
definitely.
gone
Yeah.
to the business or the business gone to the sports or I mean, but
Yeah, I think because I find elements of it very challenging.
mm,
Learning something new isn't easy.
no,
Okay, so I'm always learning something new. Like
yeah,
yesterday, I went out on a long bike ride yesterday, did a 65-kilometer ride, and I wear cleats, so where you clip into the pedals, so
yeah,
you're clipped in.
yeah,
And the way you're meant to pedal, you're meant to pull back, up
right,
and around, pull back. And I've always just pedaled like this, but there's a technique you have to pull, like you're scraping your shoe.
wow,
And so it's quite an intense it's like it's muscle memory. So you're
yeah,
having to think this the whole way through. And it's a bit like touch typing. It's learning a new skill. You've got to
yeah,
remember what you're doing. You've got to do it enough times for it to work with muscle memory.
mm,
But I know it's hard. So when my students come along for touch typing lessons and they're finding something difficult, I totally get it.
Hmm.
Totally understand every
Yeah.
little thing,
Yeah.
because I know what that feels like, that
Yeah.
feeling of I can't do it,
Yeah.
or it's too hard, and adjusting something to make it easier,
Yeah.
to feel confident that you
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah.
So definitely, how's sport challenges, yeah, competitive, and that all goes into my business.
Yeah.
um, and really with the children saying you can do this,
Yeah.
and the adults, you can
Yeah.
do
You
this,
can do
you're
it.
brilliant, you're
Yeah.
doing well, even when they're beating themselves up saying I
Yeah.
can't do this.
Yeah.
Yes, you can, you are doing it,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
going to get there.
Yeah. And that's the thing, especially with the adults, is building that confidence, because they'll come in and I can't do it, or they get frustrated because they're struggling. A lot of the people I work with are, really are lacking in the confidence and the skills, and and some of them just aren't in the right mindset when they do join you, and you've really got to try and build them up to be doing. But when they do it, that transformation of them, it's just like amazing, I love what you're saying about the challenges. I'm not a sporty person by any means, and I could definitely not do what you do, but I used to do, and I did do a lot of We Fit. I was really active
Oh
on We
yeah.
Fit, and I loved that. And I used to go to the gym before COVID. I was going to the gym twice a week and stuff like that. And I really got, especially as part of my recovery when I had some real serious health issues, that the being able to do that with the health and the diet and the exercise and everything, I've got a really good training program going. And I actually managed to lose over a course of about 2 years, 2.5 stone,
Oh,
and with the exercise and that, sadly not managed to keep. It's all come back on again, but I keep meaning to do things again. But knowing that you've done it, and yeah, I know I'll be able to do it again. It's just that determination and that focus, and getting in there. So, but when I sort of see people, oh no, I can't do it. You can, but you've got to be determined. You've got to want to do it. And if you in the right mind space, the right headspace, you will
yeah,
achieve it. But you've got to practice.
yeah,
It's like the computer skills, as you're saying about muscle memory. Oh, there's so much to remember. Yes, and you will remember it, but you've got to
yeah,
practice.
got to
If you just,
practice.
yeah, if you just leave it from one session to the next session and don't do anything outside of it,
Yeah,
then that, is going to take
yeah.
you a lot longer. So I totally get where you're saying from on that
And I
side
think
of things.
a lot of the adults also say, um, learning something new like touch typing, it hurts my brain. But
Mm,
they love it because
mm,
it's hurting they're using their brain. And a lot of
yeah,
adults, as we get older, we stop doing things that challenge
yeah,
ourselves.
yeah,
And something like learning a new skill,
yeah,
whatever it is,
yeah, yeah.
really gets your mind
Go,
working
yeah.
and you're using those brain cells. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, the amount of people that I've got that have retired that started coming, and they've said, I want to get my brain cells going, and I want to chat that. And one of the private clients I've been working with at the moment is retired, but she just made up her mind that they wanted to learn how to do spreadsheets. Didn't know what a spreadsheet was, but they wanted to know how to use it. We had a conversation about what it was and what it could be used for, and then right, that's it. I want to learn. When can I start? Type of thing.
And brilliant.
Exactly. And so I love people like that, that they really want to learn, because when they want to learn, you want to help them and get them
Yes.
learning as much as possible. So I definitely can relate with what you were saying there. And I think that goes nicely into the next area of that you do, that I wanted to talk about with you, which again, I'm in awe of what you do, totally. But you work with the DOE as well, don't you?
I
The Duke of
do.
Edinburgh
Yeah.
Awards. So
Yeah.
how did you get involved in that?
We are an assessor, a DV assessor for the
Wow.
DV. So yeah, so we run the skills section for the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. So children can come and learn touch typing for their bronze, silver, or gold award.
Wow.
So they come and learn. They do a 13-week course. They do their practice from home. Takes about an hour a week. They have to dedicate an hour as part of their DV.
Mm,
Okay, so they can split that however we want in the week.
mm,
We go into the program. We look at their actual keystrokes so we can see any problems that they're having. It's as if we're actually there with them. And then we give written feedback to them each week, and we set their next lesson. So it's because they're a bit older, they're like 13 plus,
Yeah, yeah,
they're able to be a little bit more independent with
yeah,
their work. And actually, it's their skill, it's their challenge.
yeah.
So they write down what aims they have of this skill
Mm,
of their skills section, and it could be, you know, want to get to a certain speed or an
mm,
accuracy or just learn the basics.
yeah.
So
Wow.
we it's lovely, and it's a life skill that they're learning. It's
Yeah.
not just, you know,
No.
anything. It's a life skill that
Yeah.
they can take with them.
So how did that end up becoming on a part of the DOE scheme then? Is it something you pitched to them and
Yeah. Yes.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they offer like pottery, photography. I just thought touch typing is a life skill. You
Yeah.
know, what
Yeah.
a brilliant way to
So,
get children on board, and they pass their DOV and learn a life skill at the same
same
time.
time. Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, really, just it's again, it's just so much of opportunity that you're giving people, you know. Oh, okay, you're not coming here, but we can get you there, and you know, so all the youngsters that are coming through that you're working with, and the impact that you're having on them, and the benefits of what they're doing. And I think I also saw that you had. I don't think it's the 17-year-old, but you had someone that had learnt before and then they gave up and then they stopped practicing and then they decided that they wanted to actually come back and relearn that and came back
Yeah.
to you. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just, to actually realize when something is important and useful, but you're not in the right mindset or it wasn't the right
Yeah.
time, and then to actually come back and seek you out to
Yeah.
come back and do it
Yeah, we
is
have quite a few of those. Yeah, there was a
yeah.
2 year gap, I think, and he'd done really well. He got a really good speed and accuracy, and then in those 2 years, he hadn't forgotten it, but it
Mm,
obviously dropped away a little bit. But
yeah.
going back and above where he'd left off. So
Oh, well, that is amazing as well. That is it. So I want to know now. So we've talked quite a lot about the story, the journey, and things like that. But where do you see yourself going in the future? What's next for Wendy and the click type IT side of things? Where do you see yourself going next? Or if you
well, I guess some people think about retirement. I don't think I'll ever retire. I
no,
think I love what I do too much.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to keep it going. I enjoy working with my sort of one-to-one clients, and
yeah,
that's the direction that the business is going in more and more, because we're
one
working
to
with
one,
a lot of children with learning differences that really need that one-to-one help,
yeah,
and it's where the need is most.
yeah.
But listen, I'm happy to work with anybody. I just love giving. I'm a big, massive fan of touch typing, and
Yeah.
I'm always talking about it. I take business cards wherever I go, and if I see someone typing on a keyboard and they're doing this, I'm like, here's a business card.
I could definitely go to the libraries then. That the amount of business that goes to the library from my classroom, because mainly because they haven't got the computers at home. And it was funny. I was talking to the group of learners yesterday. They said, "We've joined the library like you told us to." They all knew who you were.
Yeah.
Pity I'm not on commission, but there we go.
So that's type it really. And from a sort of personal point of view, yeah, doing more of what I'm doing, and more challenges.
Yeah. So can you share with us what's the next challenge you're working towards, or is that still to be decided at the moment?
My sporting challenge,
Yeah.
my real aim was to, sounds big, but to do an Ironman for my 60th year.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
but that's
Iron
not,
Man or Iron Woman?
it's actually Ironman. It's a
It
brand,
is Iron.
it's a brand, so you can't really change it, fortunately.
Pity they can't call it Iron Person, but there we
Iron
go.
person, yeah. The
Might be
Ironman is the
politically more
brand, yeah.
politically correct.
So it's a 3 mile swim, it's a 112-mile bike, and it's a
Wow.
marathon at the end. So it's a big, 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 big.
God.
big thing. Now, this year, I would have started the training last year because it would take me about 2 years to train.
God.
But I have a problem with my knee to the point where the surgeon said I'll probably never be able to run long distance again. So I think that may have gone by the wayside. But he said I can prove him wrong. And so far I am running and it's okay. So I'm
Wow.
yet to prove him wrong. So let's
Wow.
see.
Fingers crossed for you, but
But
wow.
yeah, challenges. I'm going to be doing my first standard triathlon Olympic distance this year.
Wow.
And next year, maybe a half Ironman.
Wow. I'm very impressed. I'm in awe, jaw drop.
And helping others get into sport as
Yeah.
well. I would
Yeah.
love to do more voluntary work
Yeah.
with with people.
I can imagine. It's such I don't do enough of it, and every time I do go back to doing it, I think, why have I stopped doing it? It's so hard. It's very easy to stop, and it's so hard to get back doing it and
It is.
making excuses and stuff. But
Yeah.
I totally, and what I loved about the Wii Fit was I was constantly going in competition with myself, trying to break with break my records and get to the top scores and stuff like that. But definitely, I'm definitely not a physical sporty person. I was going to say, did you like sports at school? Were you one of the sporty girls at
Yeah, I
school?
was jack of all trades, master of none. So I was always the child chosen to do shot put, long jump, discus, but could never really do it very well. But said yes anyway and loved it. So I'm not particularly good at anything in particular. I just love doing it all
So,
and do it to
oh,
the best of my ability. So
which is good. I'm afraid I was always left back in the changing room, or we don't want you, we don't want you.
oh
So
no.
so 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 my love of sport and PE is definitely not there. If you actually are the other half is the sporty person, the football person, the stuff like that.
No,
He's
even
yeah.
just going for a walk is
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
And
I mean that's more my style now. But he bought a bike. He got a new bike last summer, and it was the goal was he was going to try and get. I think it was a 30 bike ride ridden between September and Christmas, and he achieved it. He did it. So when it came to Christmas, I said, right, I'm setting you a 52-week challenge to do for to do. Unfortunately, didn't get off to a good start this year,
oh
but I think he will do it. But he's now started going out biking on his own, and I haven't been joining him, but I got into doing the walking. I love doing the
yeah,
walking, and I'd get the camera and I'd be taking loads of
yeah, that's
photos
it.
and stuff like that. And that to me was
Yeah,
where I sort of enjoyed going. So
yeah.
um I'm just sort of thinking because I know we're with the time. I could carry on talking to you all afternoon, Wendy. I really could. But so obviously the show is all about being in the spotlight. It's your time to shine, and I think we're all going to be wow when we're watching and listening to you here. But if I was to say to you, what has been the biggest thing for you and how you feel about being in the spotlight? I don't mean about the show, but what's been the biggest impact for you, and what do you think was the biggest highlight, and or to be the highlight for you to be in the spotlight?
I think it's I really love helping others feel good about themselves.
Mm,
I didn't have a great time at school growing up with bullying and things like that.
mm,
So I know how painful that can be when you're not feeling confident
mm,
in yourself for whatever reason, could be anything in your life going
mm,
on. So I like to feel that I can help others feel good about themselves through my touch typing, through sport,
mm,
and what I get back from them and how good they feel about themselves makes me in turn feel great,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it inspires me to keep doing that.
Mm,
And it's not a monetary thing. Yes, we all need to earn money to pay bills,
mm,
but that's not why I do what I do. It's a love and a passion,
mm,
um, and I hope to continue doing that.
yeah.
And
That's
yeah,
great. That's great. Um, last question, really, I think, to just to wrap things up with this, is anybody that's watching the show, listening to the show, I don't know how you watch it or listen to it, but anyway, um, anybody that's wanting to learn to touch type, or but maybe not finding somewhere around, what would be your tips to, I mean, obviously you'd like them to come to you, wouldn't we all? Yes, she's definitely worth it, guys, definitely worth it. But what would you what would you say to the people that are thinking, we've talked a lot of sense here, I'd like to go and start learning. What would you sort of say would be the first steps to getting started,
You
to
mean on for
really?
touch typing?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So I would say message me and I'll
yeah,
give you some tips on how to get started because it's a bit of a minefield out there. There are
yeah,
so many different free websites to
yeah,
go on.
yeah,
If possible, yes, come along to one of my sessions. I know it's an investment, a time and a cost investment,
yeah.
but if you actually work that out across a year,
Mm,
it's probably the price of a cup of coffee,
yeah,
a day, whatever.
yeah,
It's touch typing is a skill that it doesn't take forever to learn, but it
no,
lasts a lifetime.
yeah.
Very cliche, but it's true.
It is true.
Um, so if you're really determined to learn on your own, I can help you do that. Okay, I'll point you in the right direction. I'll be honest, there isn't great software out there,
No.
but I can point the way for you.
Hmm.
And just have the confidence that you can do it,
Yeah,
and give yourself a bit of time to do it as well.
yeah.
Carve out some time.
Yeah, and I think that is with anything with a skill, is making the time to do it and actually doing it and actually practicing it and keep doing it and not to give up. The challenges are there, and we do face them, but yeah, you're right. So if you want to reach us, you can get in contact with us via the email address for Be in the Spotlight. So it's beinthespotlight@gmail.com. If you put your questions to us in that email, and I will forward it on to Wendy so that she can answer your questions and get back to you. If you want to get in contact direct with Wendy, she will obviously have all her social media details and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you're following both Type It and Click It and Honey's IT to get to know what we're doing, and follow us and subscribe to the channel, because if you don't forget to subscribe, you will be missing all of the stuff that's coming out. But yeah, thank you ever so much, Wendy, for being a brilliant guest and being in the spotlight for me. It certainly has been your time to shine. As I said, I could carry on chatting to you for hours, but I'm going to say thank you ever so much for
Thank
being a
you.
guest. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Spotlight is the place to be network chatting, discuss technology. Being in the spotlight is the place to be. Tech talk tips for free.